Jean Bureau, and I'm honored and very happy to be with you this afternoon to present our next keynote speaker. One of America's leading television executives, Sarah Barnett oversees AMC, BBC America, IFC, Sundance TV, and AMC Premiere as president of AMC's entertainment networks. Her role includes direct oversight of AMC Premiere, the company's premium SVOD service. Previously, she was president and general manager of BBC America, and under her watch, the brand rose to prominence as a programming powerhouse with award-winning and critically acclaimed hits like Orphan Black, Planet Earth, and Killing Eve. A specialist in entertainment marketing and branding, Sarah was named head of Sundance TV in 2009 and redefined the channel by introducing distinctive dramatic series. She launched the network's scripted strategy in 2010 with the Golden Globe winning Carlos, and has since overseen critical hits like Top of the Lake, Rectify, and The Honorable Woman. Prior to this role, Sarah was Senior Vice President and Marketing for Sundance TV and oversaw all strategic and creative marketing for the brand. Sarah joined Sundance TV from a previous stint at BBC America, where she served as Vice President of On-Air and Creative Marketing. Before BBC America, she spent 12 years with the BBC in London, where she produced and directed, working first for the BBC Radio and then BBC Television. Sarah Barnett earned her Bachelor of Art degrees in History of Art from the University of Warwick in the United Kingdom. She has been included in the Hollywood Reporter's Women in Entertainment Power 100 list, Variety's Gotham Power list, and Variety's Women's Impact Report. Sarah was also included into the 2014 class of multi-channel news Wonder Woman, and has been in Cablefax Top 100 and Most Powerful Women list for the past 6 years. And now, Sarah will share with us her bold vision for the portfolio of networks that is home to some of TV's biggest shows. Please help me welcome Sarah Barnett.
Thank you, John. I'm Alison Brower. I'm Deputy Editorial Director of The Hollywood Reporter, and I have the honor of bringing more from this powerhouse to you. She needs no introduction since we just got the introduction from John. We do have a quick look at some of the amazing product these four networks have been putting out these last couple of years and recently under Sarah, so we can have a look at that first.
Something you're still talking about long after you've watched it. And that something is here.
1, 2, 3!
Something so brilliant. Sometimes when you watch someone you do crazy things.
If she's alive, you need to find her.
So unexpected.
It's a wonder you can even walk. You're so ballsy.
So connected.
To you guys.
So daring.
I'm home!
These are stories that matter.
Now is our moment to stride to our destiny!
And that's something.
Check it out.
So I'm excited to dig into how all four of these distinct brands are operating separately and together. But first I want to know a little bit about you and your background. I know you come from a big family. Your father was in advertising, so there was a little bit of media DNA there. But when did you know you wanted to work in entertainment, and when did you discover this path for yourself?
Well, first of all, I only ever want to be introduced by a French man. I disrespect Alison, but intellectual and sophisticated. I don't know when I first thought I wanted to work in media. It was a bit of an accident, really. I did grow up in a big family. We grew up in a little village, and although my dad worked in London and commuted and worked in advertising, I wouldn't say we were a particularly sort of media-focused family. So I think it's sort of, I did love watching TV. I loved stories of all sorts. I loved reading. I loved watching TV. I loved a lot of shows, British and American. Slightly young for Mary Tyler Moore, but probably exactly the right age, at least when they played it in the UK, for Rhoda.
Oh.
And I always imagined myself, not that she particularly did this, but my aspiration was to have a flat in London and carry a clipboard in a busy studio and tell people where to go. So I guess that kind of happened.
You have a very big clipboard now, yes. So, you mentioned Rhoda. This came up yesterday in one of the talks. Banff is 40 this year, and I was thinking, what was I watching 40 years ago? Do you remember what you were watching 40 years ago? It might have been that.
I think it was Rhoda. Like every good British person, I was terrified by Doctor Who, which is a ridiculously enduring franchise. I guess, when would that have been? In the sort of early 80s. There was some really cool British miniseries that started popping up in the early 80s that, at the beginning, I think of a sort of premium mini thing. There was, anyone ever heard of a thing called Edge of Darkness by Troy Kennedy? Yeah, it's like, most people haven't heard of it, but you can get, my brother tracked down some weird format from somewhere, I don't know where. It was a sort of, almost spiritual, but sort of ecological, political, kind of crazy thing. So I've always liked, I guess, quite dense stories.
In your earlier tenure at BBC, you worked in marketing, but you also produced some originals, and you have experience both producing and directing in the first part. So how does your experience just being hands-on creating content resonate now as an executive supervising so many brands?
I think, so my early career at the BBC, when I started out as a PA, but I ended up producing and directing in radio and then in television, a number of different things, but some of them were live broadcasts, and I really enjoyed that kind of trying to, having to keep all the plates spinning and having to make decisions that weren't around not breaking plates, because it was sort of a given that some plates would have to fall, but you were good at your job depending on whether you had the acumen or judgment or luck to choose the right plates to fall and keep the right plates spinning in the air. So that's what live sort of radio arts and then TV magazine shows felt like. And also that synthesis of a team. When you're making a live show, everyone knows their role, everyone's so interdependent on each other, collaboration is huge, and the ways in which over time, working with people, you sort of understand not just the formality of your role, but you also get to really understand the interplay between humans and that almost non-verbal sort of shared experience in a very tense moment of what it is you need to do or not do. And I guess I've always found that slight mania quite thrilling, and certainly in the role I'm in now, with such, overseeing a number of networks, but more, I think, given the sort of turbulent backdrop of our industry, it can feel very much like, in any given moment, the sort of, slightly not as ticking clock as making a live show, but there is a sense of sort of having to know very much what you're doing, but be ready to sort of pivot and change at any given moment, and having to do it as a team, not just as an individual.
So in this role, which you stepped into in November, correct? You've got these four distinct brands. Everyone's pretty familiar, but AMC has this very strong originals brand, including cable's top show, Walking Dead. BBC America has made a big splash with Killing Eve and the first female Doctor Who we talked about, and also very large stake in nature programming. IFC is sort of in the comedy lane with Documentary Now and Brockmire and more to come. And Sundance TV has some interesting storytelling that we'll talk about with State of the Union, and it's of course also where we broadcast our own star and creator roundtables with Close Up on the Hollywood Reporter, or Close Up with the Hollywood Reporter. So 4 very different lanes, but for the second season of Killing Eve, you made the decision to broadcast it both on BBC America and on AMC. To great success, the show almost doubled its viewers and saw the largest year-to-year growth of any returning series in the past 3 years. So that's a major success story with playing with cross-pollination, and you've told us at THR just recently that you're going to continue to mix things up. So how is that going to work, and is there, how are you going to answer this? Is it totally strategic, or is some of it just going to be experimental and a little bit of, let's try and see what sticks where?
Yeah. Everything is changing so quickly and so profoundly around us at any given moment. To me, the least interesting as well as the least effective approach would be to continue to program linear networks and continue to program brands and continue to program our direct-to-consumer offerings as separate pieces and in the ways we always have. So, shows can sit obviously in many different places. They can sit on Hulu or Netflix, or you can program something on a linear network. I think it's really interesting to think about moving our shows between the different platforms we have within the AMC network ecosystem. So to move shows between networks, or to move shows from networks to direct-to-consumer platforms, which is the more traditional way that's been established through disruption of Netflix and beyond. But also to move shows from our streaming services to our linear platforms. And I think that's really a very interesting way of a modern media company looking at the shared audience and brand synergy within the whole ecosystem. So some of it is increasingly driven by an understanding we have of our audience and some data and analytic tools that allow us to really understand the duplication or lack of duplication between our different services. So across the 4 entertainment networks that I oversee, there's only 7% duplication of audience across all 4 of those networks. So that's a lot of opportunity to move a gem of a show that might be on a small network that nobody else within our linear sort of pool of audience is coming to. And there's 26% duplication between audiences of audience between AMC and BBC America, which, as you would imagine, has the biggest duplication. So even there, you have a lot of people that tends to be more on the movie watching side. You have a lot of